All right, so we've all got those international relations notes, right? They can be a bit much sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, today we're going deep with John Mearsheimer, a really big name in international relations. He gave this lecture at a prestigious university, and he did not hold back at all.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he gets right into it, and we're going to break it down. So the big question is war unavoidable? Mearsheimer, he's a realist, and he'd probably say, yeah, pretty much. He thinks it's just built into how countries interact.
Interesting.
He uses this phrase, war is endemic to international politics,
Okay.
meaning not necessarily constant fighting, but always a possibility.
Right, always looming.
Exactly. It's always there.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, it's not always happening, but you can't ever really forget about it, you know? That potential for conflict, it's always influencing things.
Exactly. It shapes how countries act.
It's like that feeling of walking down a dark street alone at night. You might not see any danger, but it's that feeling, it makes you more alert. You think differently, you move differently.
That's a great analogy.
That's kind of what Mearsheimer's getting at, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And he even compares politics to a contact sport.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're talking about clashes of ideas, power struggles. Things can get pretty intense.
And you see that playing out, like, throughout history. Think about the Crusades, all that conflict driven by religious differences.
Right.
Or even today, look at the debates we have about climate change, economic policy, all sorts of things. These aren't just polite disagreements.
No, they're not.
They get heated because they're about deeply held values, interests. That underlying intensity, that's part of why Mearsheimer argues conflict is so hard to avoid.
Yeah. And at the heart of it all, there's this drive for survival. States are kind of like people, and that way they do what they need to protect themselves.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
There's no world government. There's no one in charge making sure everyone plays fair. Mearsheimer uses this image of a leviathan, that big, powerful sea creature from the Bible.
Yeah.
It's like, without a leviathan to keep things in check, countries are on their own, which means they're more likely to compete, maybe even fight to survive.
It's a jungle out there.
Kind of, yeah. A pretty dangerous one if you're a country, at least.
And that leads us to this really famous idea. You've probably heard it. It's from the military theorist Clausewitz. War is an extension of politics by other means.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It gets thrown around a lot, but what's it really mean in this context when we're talking about this realist view?
Well, for Mearsheimer, it gets to this really important and kind of unsettling point about how states see war.
Okay.
It's not just some aberration, some breakdown of reason. It's another tool in